Hello, how are you? Sticking with us here. Hope you've had a great. Getting mic levels. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? And it takes to the storm team bug.
I think you gotta reset Mike as well.
What do you mean?
So take Mike.
Yeah. I see it.
Top box is on, that's on.
Yeah,
that's
no, it's
on.
all good.
Okay.
Yeah, but you go to the two box.
So flip, hit Mike. Check, 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 check. There
Hello.
you go.
Okay. Wow. Thank you all. Sorry about that. So you have to hit mic before you go to every time.
Yep. That's the
Every change.
Every change.
Okay, so thank you. I didn't know that. Sorry about that, y'all. So every time I change it, no matter what it is, I have to push my.
Yep. So as
I'm
you're
gonna
setting
forget
up,
that.
As you're setting up the new graphic, you have to click Mike.
Love that. Okay, sorry about that. That is my fault. I didn't know that. So sorry if I was talking there for about 2 minutes without the mic. What I was saying is we have this thunderstorm here in Brevard County going towards the Space Coast. We'll keep an eye on it. It's producing a decent amount of lightning into Palm Bay, Vieira, Mico, going towards Grant Valcaria. Nothing severe here. This is going to be on the beach probably in the next few minutes. Let me track this for you, put a time on it. It's moving southeast at about 25. So that'll put it in Ballard Pines about 8 o'clock. So this thing will be offshore probably by about, let's say, 8:10. And that's going to be it for tonight, folks. Up to the north, just a couple of showers here, Gainesville to Daytona. But I'll admit, yesterday was an overperformer in terms of storms. Today was a significant underperformer. We did have some decent rotation earlier in two storms we were watching, but thankfully it didn't do anything. So here's a satellite today. You can see a lot of clouds, and I think that's probably why the forecast, I don't want to call it a bust, but it underperformed the coverage of storms, is because there's this really big storms across Texas and New Orleans, and the upper level winds are so fast. You see this here? They're pushing all of this high level cloud cover into Florida, and the temperatures were actually quite a bit lower than what the forecast called for today. And that kind of, I think, limited the instability in the atmosphere, made the atmosphere more stable, which is hence why there wasn't really a lot of big thunderstorms out there for today. So for the weekend, a couple of things to know about. Downpours, lightning, both concerns for us. Could there be some 60-mile-an-hour winds in a storm or two? I guess, sure, why not? Then a small chance for a brief tornado as well. So rain chances are high tomorrow, Sunday, Monday. But a high rain chance does not mean a washout. This is not the Midwest or New England. Rarely in Florida is it truly a washout. If there's a hurricane coming, that's about it. Rarely will you get thunderstorm days that just cause it to rain the whole day. So I would not cancel your plans. In fact, I'm considering going to Epcot on Sunday. I haven't got the ticket yet. I don't have an annual pass, but I'm hemming and hawing over the forecast. But the point is, if you're looking at these high rain chances and you're going, oh my gosh, it's a washout, we can't take the kids to the theme parks, we can't go to the beach, I wouldn't have that takeaway. The point is, you'll get hit by rain and downpours at some point, possibly multiple times in the same day. But that does not mean it's going to rain from 10 in the morning until 8 p.m. Certainly not. Certainly not. Out there for Saturday, Sunday, and again on Labor Day, Monday. So here's the surface map tonight. A couple of things to point out across America. There is a pretty notable early season cold front up here in New England. In fact, there's going to be some snow in eastern Canada, believe it or not, next week, which is a little bit early for them. But a big cold front here going into New York, Boston, Connecticut, Springfield, Mass. See a little non-tropical low here by George's Bank that's going up to the Canadian Maritimes over here. It's a little low on the lee up in the Rockies. This is producing some severe weather that's tracking to the southeast. There's a surface flow over Louisiana. This is going to boot scoot across Florida and then come up the Gulf Stream next week. And when this low here, this low over about Monroe, Louisiana, once that gets to about here next week, it's going to go like this. It's possible the Hurricane Center puts out a yellow lemon, meaning a 10%, 20% zone for tropical development over here next week, and that Laurel and TJ to have that for you for the weekend. I'm mentioning because I don't want you to see that from Laurel or TJ on the weather this weekend and go, where the heck did that come from? That came out of nowhere. That would be moving away from us, but it would not be a shock if there was in our nearby vicinity this weekend a 10% blob added over here for that low next week to become kind of like a nor'eastery type thing off the coast of Massachusetts next week. It briefly could attain tropical characteristics, but that's what this low over Louisiana is going to do. And this weekend, it'll help foster enhanced showers and thunderstorms. So here's the high temperatures today: 91 in Orlando and Melbourne, 90 in Tampa, 84 in Jacksonville, 93 in Fort Myers, 95 at the high in West Palm. You see that west flow across Florida. This is the winds at 10,000 feet. The dew points are up there, mid-70s. No fall air here to be had anytime soon. Temperatures 70s to 80s right now. We're live on Fox Local, YouTube, and Facebook. If you have a question, let me know what you're thinking about. Love to hear from you on Facebook and YouTube. Hello, City. Hello, Johnson. Hello, Johnson Joe. How are you? Hello, Randy Sabic and Teresa. How are you? Check 1, 2, 3 says City. Thank you for that. Let's see. Good evening from Lakeland says Kevin Hawthorne on YouTube. Thank you for being a #1 follower. No Sound Noah. We should got that fixed. A couple of you here on YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. Hope you had a good Friday. Temperatures now 70s to 80s. So overnight storms are pretty much done. 70s tomorrow, about 90 inland, which is technically, I believe, below average for this time of the year. So it's a big day tomorrow across the country. It's the kickoff of college football. Obviously, I am excited for that. Being my team actually is going to be good for once. It's been many years coming. Hopefully they go into January. We will see. But here's all the cities of the top 25 matchups across the country. So each city with a number on here is where there's a top 25 ranked matchup. So Eugene, Oregon being the Oregon Ducks. Interestingly, it's hotter in Eugene, Oregon than Orlando, or the same. That doesn't happen often. 88 there tomorrow, 104 in Arizona, 93 College Station, Texas, that being for A&M. Norman, Oklahoma for Boomer Sooner, 73. 85 for Oxford, Mississippi at Ole Miss. And then some early fall vibes, just 71 in State College for Penn State, 74 in Columbus, Ohio, the high for Ohio State, and just in the 60s for the high in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Even for Michigan, that's pretty notable for early in the year level chill. And Tallahassee for Florida State hosting Bama in the mid-80s. So you'll see this here on Fox. Just keep your TV tuned tomorrow to Fox 35 if you're a sports fan. You start your morning with TJ. He'll have the weather on Good Day Orlando, and then as soon as Good Day Orlando Saturday edition ends at 9, the Fox Big Noon Kickoff picks it up and takes you through noon, and then you get probably the biggest Week 1 game in modern history, Texas and Ohio State, which would be in about upper 60s in Columbus, which even for the shoe, that is actually pretty notable cool air for this early in the year. I mean, heck, it's still August, and it's going to be sweatshirt weather there for that game up there. All right, so that's the weather over the next few days. Let me give you a quick tropical update. See if we have any change to this blob out there at the 8 o'clock update. Doesn't appear so.
30%.
30% still, says Laurel. Thank you, Laurel. So the old rule of thumb with this, it's not always the case, is that when this over here is busy in the Pacific, this over here is quiet. Yeah, and you can see that that is the case. You've got two red systems, two high chances of tropical development here in the Atlantic, one going towards Hawaii, then one going up towards Baja Peninsula next week. And the reason for that is something called the MJO, the Madden-Julian Oscillation. So essentially, this is the equator, you know that. It's probably the equator, there it is. There's what's called a pulse of energy. There's a wave that goes back and forth. And what it does broadly in the atmosphere is causes the air to rise or sink, like this. And it's either in a phase where the air is rising here and sinking here, or vice versa. And right now, the MGO has moved back to a phase where the air over the equatorial and eastern Pacific is rising, and the air over the Atlantic is sinking. Sinking air makes it harder, not impossible, harder for thunderstorms and big clouds to form because the air is sinking. Remember, thunderstorm cloud forms going up. So if the air broadly has a force down, you've got to have so much extra force going up mathematically to overcome that sinking compressional air. So that's why it's not impossible. Sometimes you hear meteorologists say you don't get hurricanes when the MJO is not over the Atlantic. That's not true. You can. It's just 10% of the time. So the point is, that's the meteorological reason. Is you see a lot of activity out here in the Pacific. It's because the MJO is over there now. The air is rising, which helps support thunderstorms that form that turn into hurricanes. And over here, it's sinking. The air is sinking over the Atlantic basin. So yes, there is this blob out here, which, yes, it may briefly become something next week and go like this, I would think. It's not really of concern because it's got more negating factors than pro factors right now. Now, there is a sign pretty clearly that the MJO is going to flip come mid-September. And we saw this last year. And I've seen a lot of private forecasters and apps. If you're watching us on Fox Look, I know there's a lot more of you on there now. Maybe our social media tonight. So if you're watching there, hello, appreciate you. And on YouTube and Facebook. There's a lot of outlets I have seen. Look, there's 6 gazillion sources for weather nowadays. It's so saturated. It's more saturated than it's ever been. Everybody has a weather page and a website and opinion. And I've seen people saying, the hurricane season's a bust. There's nothing. I think that's crazy to say. First of all, it's still August, A. B, you just go to last year. Helene was the end of September, and Milton was early October. And this year kind of has a similar vibe. There's some things that are different, but last year at this same time, it was also very quiet. We had Debbie, which was the first of the trio, the third week of September, I think, second or third week of September.
I can
I think it was. Laurel was going to check. Shout out to Laurel for that. But I think Debbie was like the second, it was like August, September, maybe like 18, 20, something like that. 'Cause I remember I was up in Kentucky and had to come back early for that. But the point is last year, the MJO started September in the same phase it's starting this year, where it was really favorable over here and not favorable over here. And there were some last year that said, oh, the season's a bust, there's nothing coming. And I'm not trying to come at this from the perspective of rooting for hurricanes. That's not the position I'm taking. The position I'm taking is let's pump the brakes on, closing our concern and watching the tropics because it's still early. And oftentimes, the majority of this impactful storms to Florida and the eastern U.S. are after the middle of September. So we are still early in this baseball game, if you will. We're not even to the fifth inning here. We're in like the fourth inning of hurricane season. It is still very early in the tropics. And I was going to show you that in a second, but it does look like the end of September this year is going to be quite busy. What is it in daily? Is it Noah with 5 H's?
Yes.
Very nice. So shout out Laurel for this graphic. Oh, this is actually last year, so very good.
Do you want me to search
So let me see if I take this full. So I'm going to take this full, and then I'm going to push Mike again.
Mike, preview.
There you go. How about that? Look at that. So here is the hurricane season last year, which notice there was a gap in the summer and early fall. And then look at the heavy hitters there. You had Helene, Isaac, Kirk, Leslie, Milton, all end of September and October. Prime example of why we still have a long way to go. And the MJO is going to swing back around probably about like September 12th-ish. And I think after that, you're going to see the tropical Atlantic go bananas because the water is way warm. I mean, if it doesn't, I would be actually quite shocked. Now, that's just because I think it's going to go bananas. I have no idea if they're going to hit Florida. There could be 6 hurricanes at the end of September, and they all could go like this, for all that we know. But given the fact that the MJO is going to be in prime position for the last 2 weeks of September this year, and the water is so warm, it would not be a surprise to me if we had, like, after about September 15th, if there was, like, 3, 4, 5, 6 systems just in the second half of September. So we'll see what happens. Let me show you the model here. So this is what we call the ensemble. This is the European ensemble. So it's 100 different versions of the Euro model. Let me bring this over full screen so you can see it. So I want you to notice here, well, look at each one of these little rings is a different model. And I want you to notice how there's really nothing right now out in the Atlantic. Then watch as we go forward. This is about September 10th. And then 12th. Look at all these storms. There's a Cat 4 here, Cat 5, Cat 2, Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 2, Cat 1, tropical storm. All of a sudden, it's like flipping a light switch after about the 10th-ish. And I really think things are going to get busy after that. So, in terms of hurricane season, we got a long way to go. And I think the second half of September, early October this year, probably will have a lot of storms. A lot. All right back to back to back to back. We'll see. Hopefully none of them come anywhere close to us, but that's just kind of the outlook of how I think it'll play out. We'll revisit this in 2 months and see how it plays out. So that's the idea with the tropics. But for the weekend, show you the 7-day. Again, definitely would not cancel any plans. But TJ and Laura will be here this weekend tracking the radars if there's any warnings for you. Facebook, YouTube, Fox Local. So a lot of storms in the weekend. Temperatures are not bad. I mean, they're not bad at all. It's only about 87 on Monday, 87 Tuesday. You see they're 88 on Wednesday. Rain chances will come down a little bit next week, and the sun will come back out a little bit more. But just know this weekend you're going to have to dodge some downpours and storms. I'll be watching football tomorrow, so I'm not going to be outside. But Sunday, I'm going to try to sneak in Food and Wine Festival at Epcot kind of day. That's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to sneak that in. So I'm still going to go try to enjoy the weekend. But I'm gonna go knowing that it's probably gonna rain at Epcot at least once or twice on Sunday and rain torrentially. So that's how I would view the Labor Day weekend this weekend. So you have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay dry. We'll catch you here on Fox 35 after the Baylor-Auburn game tonight, whenever that ends, and then TJ tomorrow morning. Then Laurel's got you on the weekend evening. So have a good night. Appreciate you all watching. Have yourself a great, safe, and happy Labor Day weekend.